All right, welcome to the Fantasy Trail. This is season 4, episode 10. I'm here with Mike and JT.
Hey,
guys,
Right here, guys.
Close to the playoffs now, and we're getting some clarity, but not all that much. These points are going to, I think, going to go down to the last week.
the points are interesting. It's a wrinkle that I think certainly makes it a little more fascinating for some people who might otherwise not be in it. I do appreciate it from that aspect, but unfortunately, I will not be participating in the playoffs this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You think we might have said you're out? You're saying?
yeah. I think my points aren't going to get me in, and I've lost 3 in a row, and I think there's no way I can get up to the number 4 seed. So I think I'm out, fellas.
Interesting. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm pretty devastated. I was 4-2, feeling pretty darn good, and then my whole team decided to break every bit of their hamstrings, and haven't really done great since.
Yeah, I kind of know that feeling. Finally have a quarterback who I'm feeling confident about, and then 2.8 points later.
Yeah, I mean, Tamala, I gotta say, I'm a little curious about what kind of pizza I'm going to ask you to order next year.
Yeah. See, I don't think I'm
He is sitting in the 12th place spot at the moment.
Yeah. But you know, I did.
Your pizza.
And I haven't looked at it this week, but you know, I was like second most points scored against.
Yeah, you're up there.
That's true.
I think you're the most points against. But I will say that the disparity between least points against and most points against is not nearly as big as points scored.
Yeah.
I think there's 130 points between the most points and least points against, which, you know, is obviously not nothing, but split over 9 weeks isn't as stark as the points for, which there's approximately 400. And by the way, that would be me in dead last for most points.
How many points am I?
It is interesting that actually does somewhat. That it actually somewhat evens out on the points against, but yet on the points for, it's a higher standard deviation is what it actually is. Not to get too statistical here.
What were you saying, Tamala?
How many more points do I have than you scored?
Points scored than me? 40.
That makes me feel terrible.
Why?
Points above me, 4.
Yeah. I mean, if we're looking at the playoffs right now, if we want to break it down real quick, we've obviously got our top 4 seeds set, which, by the way, Angela, number 1 seed with a bye, just what we all predicted at the beginning. We had Brian in the number 2 seed with a tied at 6-3 with 2 other teams, but has the most points. We've got Colin in the 3 seed, tied at 6-3, but more points than Joel. And then Joel in the 4 seed. So those would be our 4 top scoring / winning teams. And then the next 2 would be Michael Thomas, who actually has the 4th most points scored. And as much as it pains me to say, it's Casey.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it right here.
The gap has widened. He was only up by like 30 points last week. He's up by 58 now. So Rachel is the closest one to that, and she's in a similar boat to me in that getting in via wins is going to be hard. So she needs Casey's team to explode, or she needs her team to really burst out. Tamala, you are the next possible one there. But if she's down 58, then you're down 98.
Yeah, and Casey
and I'm
had a huge week, and I did not.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that nobody, I guess, is technically out of it because anything could happen with some of the weeks we've seen. But Casey has certainly moved himself into a good spot, and it's annoying because he made a prediction and nobody likes him being right ever.
All right, so let's.
I mean, he's been telling, and by the way, he's been telling people at school The same thing.
I
He's
can't
going to
imagine
be in. He's going to be in off the playoffs. He's been gloating a little bit.
All right, so let's go. I lost to Rich, 108 to 119. And that score is much closer than it actually should have been. Now, I mean, it all starts with my quarterback. Brissett got hurt early on. Not that early.
Interesting karma to the trade that occurred, but go on.
Yes, it definitely provides an interesting wrinkle.
And then, but you know what? I went into it Sunday night. I still had a chance. And then Aaron Jones did absolutely nothing for me.
Now, Tamala, what is the prognosis on Brissett? What are we looking at here?
He very possibly will play this Sunday.
Okay, so nothing super serious.
And he's playing Miami, so I really kind of want to play him. But then
you don't think you just go with Goff?
I could, but I don't know who Goff's playing off the top of my head, but it's not that great of a matchup.
At Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'd much rather go with Brissett against Miami.
Okay.
But
you do have a new quarterback, so it is plug and play.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait to see. Damian Williams, 20 points on my bench, never good to see. But
he's such a trick-or-treat player, though. You would have never really been guessed that based on the past couple weeks. McCoy's been in, and then with Mahomes out, I don't know. I think your biggest issue is that it just, even if you give Brissett, let's say, 18, 16 more points is not putting you in the score that you would have been the most happy with. Bell showed up for you. Samuels was a really nice little pickup with the Connor going down. You mentioned it. You had some really bad ones. 49ers D against Arizona, you would expect more than 3 points. And McLaurin has really fallen off. He had such a wonderful start to the year. And then it's been 2-8.
He was getting a lot of garbage time points. But he's had a really tough slate between the Patriots, Buffalo. Better days are ahead, but yeah, disappointing. Bell keeps on going MRIs every week. Like, I don't know if he just has invested in the MRI business, but every week it seems to be going for an MRI and then everything's fine. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the most fascinating thing is that Rich, I think, has won all 3 of his games solely because of Mike Evans.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he is.
Duke Johnson had a great game.
He was such a letdown last year, and he was a little trick or treat this year. 4, 10, 45, 0, 42, 36. But I think I saw a stat that he's the first receiver since the 70s to have 3 games that would have been equivalent to 35 plus in the same year.
Do you think it's just because that the team has just such inconsistencies in quarterback with Jameis Winston?
I'm sure that plays a role.
I think that's how Jameis Winston plays.
I think he's really inconsistent too. I mean, Tamala, you can vouch for this, having had him in years past. He drops a lot of balls.
Yeah. Well, they force it to him too because they don't have a lot
and then he doesn't.
Yeah, they do. But that's interesting that Rich is being basically kept alive to be out of the pizza by one player.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
You're dependent on.
We'll take on you losing to Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas scored a 136. I'm not going to mention your score.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had 2 calls to make, and I made them both horribly wrong. You look at Murray against San Francisco or Rivers against Green Bay, and neither one's a great matchup, but I took the one that I thought would have a little bit of a better time. I thought Murray would be in some real trouble without David Johnson because the week before he'd been a disaster without David Johnson, going against great defense. And, of course, he puts up a 25, and then Rivers puts up a stink bomb. And then Preston Williams, who I would have put in if I knew Thielen was going to pull his hammy on the first play of the game. he gets a 25. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I'll get Preston Williams for next week. And then by the end of the game, he's on the IR.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody catches their injury luck. I totally get it, and I'm not going to say that I'm the only one, but this has been a pretty intense year with Fuller, Ridley,
year for you, Jay.
David Johnson, and listen, a lot of these guys have injury history, so it's my own fault perhaps for putting any stock in them. But Thielen, Williams, Murray, Fuller, Johnson, these guys.
Anytime your first round draft picks on your bench with a 0, it's never going to go well, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was 4-2 at one point when I had everybody playing. There was just a one quarter where it all fell apart. Johnson, Thielen, and Fuller all got hurt. And I haven't been the same. I've scored absolutely no points. I never gave Michael even any competition. I didn't even think about it. I mean, the guy started Sam Darnold against me. He clearly was not worried.
Mark Walton.
Hey, JT, I'd like to hear some of your analysis. Is there any chance that you could be the pizza?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only one game ahead. I think I think there's
a busted balls here, man.
No, listen. I don't pretend I haven't thought about it. The best thing I have going for me is that David Johnson's coming back, and Murray's schedule gets a little easier. I hopefully will be able to hang on by getting a few more points back if I can keep a few more guys healthy. But I don't feel great about anything. I would say I have just as good a chance as Tamala does.
Now, do you trust David Johnson, though?
I have to. I have no choice. I have absolutely no choice. I mean, you look about the rest of my lineup, nope.
He goes in, or it's a waiver pit, or a drop ad.
Yeah, and you know who's been one of the worst busts for me is Keenan Allen. I expected, the Chargers to have a really good offense, and Keenan Allen has not scored above a 12 since week 3.
Yeah, but those first 2 weeks, he carried your team.
Yeah, he was really good, and I expect, he's one of the best I thought in the league. So I don't know.
The Chargers have definitely had a disappointing season in general.
I'm pretty miserable. I mean,
I know they're coming off a big win.
Yeah, I went over looking at Michael Thomas, and he handily beat me with Gurley on the bench, with Julio on the bench, with Mahomes on the bench, with Shepard on the bench. Like, wow, that's 4 of his best guys. He wasn't even playing, and he beat me by 60. So his team continues to look really good. I think he'll make the playoffs regardless, and I think he'll be a scary one in there because of his depth.
Yeah, especially with Mahomes coming back, the ankle's better, and he starts putting up numbers like he was last year.
Yeah, Mahomes coming back. The Sanders trade was really big for him. Galladay's turned into a star. Fournette's been a little more solid. Devonta Parker now gets more reps with my guy going down. Stupid Williams.
Carolina D's been solid.
Yeah, so he looks good. A solid opponent. Just because he beat somebody crappy doesn't mean his team wasn't good. So. What do we got next?
All right. Next, we have Casey beating Brian 182 to 153.
Brian can't be too miserable with this. I mean, he obviously he wants to buy, but 153. Honestly, that he would have beat everybody else in the league.
Yeah, but look, so Casey put up a 182. Yeah. He had 22 points with Crowder on his bench, and then 24 points with Sanu on his bench.
And his
could have swapped out for Kirk, you're saying.
And his number 1 running back and number 1 quarterback on the bench. God, that makes me sick.
Yeah.
Don't hold back, Jay. Hold back. Look, it's a massive score. What I could say for Brian is, in the more progressive scoring system, it would have been better for him. But he was a no vote.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Casey loses Kenyon Drake, that little flyer of a pick that he had there. No one expected that, and I mean, I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know what I'm looking at that comes back to earth. Lockett's just been a monster. Cooper's been great. Having Hill back has been huge. I mean, Casey, as much as I hate to say it, was just really, he was right when he said he had a lot coming back, and we all kind of got on him about maybe he should trade, maybe he should give up, maybe he should, tank and try to get points.
Just it's already, man.
Yep, he's smart. Stupid 18 from his kicker. Come on.
Yeah.
His kicker would have outscored my team.
Jay, I think both of those positions could be eliminated. I'm hoping at the symposium that's a little bit of a talk.
All right,
well,
moving on.
Don't worry, Mike. If we do, in mid-season we'll be complaining about the fact that we got rid of him.
I like that, sir. I like that, Jay.
All right, moving on. We got Angela beating Rachel 147 to 136.
Another tough one there.
I think the biggest disappointment for Rachel had to be Coleman only scoring 5.5 against Arizona.
I don't know. Well, yes, because he's been so good, but Deontay Thompson, 1 catch, 5 yards.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that a big shock? Is that a huge, you didn't even get his name right. Johnston.
Sorry. No, it's not a huge shock, but the guy looked like he might be coming into his own a little more. He's never scored less than that. And I don't know. Coleman.
Yeah, he has a 2-point.
I think if you had Roethlisberger back there, you could probably depend on a little bit more consistency out of those receivers, man.
Well, yeah, Tamala, your argument for him being a flyer, I think, is the same as Coleman. Coleman had 2 good weeks and 3 bad weeks.
But he was injured there for a long stretch of it, and
okay,
Arizona's a terrible team.
Yeah, but I think you're also using the idea of a Hall of Fame quarterback going down for the injury for a guy who I think would be at his best a journeyman.
I also think that the biggest mistake she made was not playing Jamal Williams, who's been averaging 15 points a game for the last 6 weeks. And not putting him in instead of one of those guys. I mean, I know she's got a lot of running backs. We talked about how running back heavy she is, but I think that would have been the guy to go in, and he beat a few of those guys. That's a tough one. She certainly got the depth, and those are the tough calls that I'm awesomely bad at making. So I can't say too much.
But Angela, Hooper's on the bye, so she puts in Ertz, and Ertz has his best game of the year.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, listen, Angela's got plenty. We can't possibly pretend it's only one player. But much like Rich, there are many a week where McCaffrey is the reason she's won.
Yeah.
He's for one with a bullet.
I mean, it's kind of a good horse to ride at this point.
It's astounding. His scores are just, oh my gosh.
Because his scores have essentially made up for the disappointment of Sony Michel.
Yeah, and Marvin Jones, he was waiver wire fodder, and now he's sitting with a 43 and a 27 in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's looked good. He's been fighting for balls too. Solid team. All right, moving on. Joel loses to Toronto, of all people.
2 in a row.
Oh, man.
95 to 133.
Lost 2 in a row. She just had nothing this week.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
Couple of things seem to happen here. Russell Wilson came back. He's a starting quarterback every week. Derrick Henry came through for me. That's what I could say. Beyond that, my team's been unimpressive, I'll be honest with you.
I'll say this. Joelle had a really good squad when everybody was playing. The minute she lost Kerryon Johnson and Matt Ryan and Marquise Brown, and she just doesn't have the depth. She struggles with the waiver wire in the same way I think Angela kind of does. When you look at her bench and you look at Angela's bench, both of them, if they don't have all their best guys going, they don't have many points left behind. And so when those guys are needing to play, like a Peyton Barber, or a Amendola, you're like, if you don't get great games out of all your stars, you get 95 points. She's in some trouble, I think. I think she might end up sneaking into the playoffs just because she had such an incredible 6-1 start. But I do not look at her squad and have it instill a lot of confidence in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I could say is Allen Robinson's been a little disappointing here. It's just been a couple weeks, but I just don't see Trubisky throwing anything.
Say that again, Tamal.
I mean, I just look at the Bears right now, and they look like a disaster. It's a tough one for
Robinson came real close to having a 40-yard catch, which would have made it at least acceptable. I wonder what Chark's going to do with Foles taking over. That will be interesting to see what happens over the bye. They were actually promoting him before the year started because of catching the deep ball because he was a speed guy, and Foles has that nice. So that might actually, he's had a rough couple weeks, but that might actually help his value.
Yeah, those base guys are great. Sutton has turned into a star. I think he's an absolute monster. Chark's been good, and will hopefully have that relationship with Foles. Ingram's a solid tight end. Zeke's great. Robinson, if he could just get anybody to throw to him, is good.
She doesn't have a backup tight end though, right?
No.
No, because they pulled Ingram out of practice today.
Yeah, it could just be precautionary. I saw that too, but I don't know. We'll see. A big win for Scarano, though. Kept him out of the basement.
Solid score.
Keeping me out of pizza, man.
For now.
Juice didn't do much. Diggs didn't do anything for you. But, hey, it's a solid score. It helps with the 44 from Wilson, but.
Yeah, listen, the three of us are fighting tonight.
It's the only thing I have going.
Us three idiot
Look,
hosts.
I drafted him in the 8th round. It was the only good pick I made the whole draft.
Yeah, buddy. Here we are speaking the virtues of our draft picks while we fight to not give pizza for the rest of the league. We're geniuses.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I made one good pick, and it was the one that I wasn't hot on.
All right, last matchup of the week, and that is Jake losing to Colin 71-149.
Yeah, listen, Jake did whatever he could to make me feel better, and I really appreciate it. Jake, though, he was a little rough on the buys. More than a little rough, but okay.
It was a tough time now.
Look, he has AJ Green coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So with Michael Thomas, AJ Green, and Beckham, that's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, and he's got Freeman, and then you got to think that is Murray going to get another week? What's the word on Kamara?
It looks like Kamara was playing catch with Breeze last week. It looks like Kamara's probably going to play, but who are they?
How long?
Atlanta.
How long does he have on Gordon?
He barely got him on. Obviously, he's got at least maybe 1 week left, if not 2, because I don't know if he put him on immediately.
Let's see.
That's about right. He's not going to play him this week anyway.
Yeah, he wasn't on last week.
It'd be an interesting one, man.
Yeah, that to me looks like.
Think about
this was the first week he put him on.
Yeah, that's a situation that we've been in before, where it's like he didn't have anybody else left to play. He was scrambling because he's got a Hunt and then 4 guys on a bye.
He had him, so he has 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I get that call. He's going to need a few weeks, and he's stacked at wide receiver. That's a luxury.
Yes, it is. One that I would not know anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colin, on the other hand, another monster week. He continues to jump up the standings. I think that he has shown that he's looking pretty darn solid for the playoffs. I would be shocked if he didn't make it at this point. Seattle's been great to him with Carson and Metcalf. Godwin's been a nice pickup.
Metcalf is quite a surprise for him, isn't it, man?
Saquon hasn't even been a monster yet, and he's still putting up these really good numbers.
Because Metcalf, think about this. He's playing Metcalf every week, right? Metcalf was an ad.
Yeah.
No draft.
Well,
not even a waiver pick. An ad.
Let's put it this way. He drafted him, dropped him, and then picked him up himself.
Yeah. I've done that before.
So he did draft him. I'll give him credit.
It's interesting.
Yeah, he's been really good.
It's interesting because he ran the cone drill slower than Tom Brady.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're in some interesting times. If we're looking at the scoreboard of what's to come, I got Colin, Tamale, you got Michael Thomas, and Scrowney, you got Jake. I think Jake has been the easiest matchup of the couple, but he's got a lot of guys coming back. Big matchup of the week.
Yeah, it's not going to be like last week.
Big matchup of the week is the top 2 seeds. We have Angela versus Brian.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Angela's getting hammered with buys too. She's losing 3 of her starters, so we'll see how her bench fills in there.
But she currently has the longest winning streak with 6 wins in a row.
It's just
yeah, it looks, as much as she does get hammered with buys and it's not guys coming out, it looks like she has people she could put in. Like she could do it because I know she's not big on the drop bad thing.
Yeah, she's done better than further teams in the league. She's been.
It'll work. I'm just replacing different guys here, and it works.
Yeah,
I'd still like, and if I had to pick it, I'd still like Brian's though.
Okay, I want to put this out there just because I'm gonna probably have him put it in the chat too, but I want to put this out there now. Rich has reached out to me, to his credit, and if you take a look at his squad, he has 6 guys on a bye, and 6 guys on a bye. Then adding to that, he has another player who is out. He is not wanting to drop any one of those 7 players. And
I'm looking at his bench right now. This is actually pretty. This is crazy, man.
Yeah. So and
every person on his bench has a line.
Yep. And then Cooks is out, who's in his lineup. So he's unless one of those guys gets traded or Brandon Cooks magically comes back, he's going to be short. And he did tell me. So I just want to make sure that's put out there to the league now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone who I'd say, oh, just drop this. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing just drop this guy.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think there's
like just say, oh, just drop this guy. Tell me who it would be. Really look at the full lineup.
I don't like dropping anyone.
After watching the Eagles for all season, I would say it's Jeffrey. But
probably, but that's a weird name to drop. And you can understand why he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I understand not dropping him.
Yeah. So just put that out there. I want to give credit to Rich that he, even in a tough season, he's paying attention there and wanting to make sure that he's following the rules. So shout out to him.
Yeah. I don't see anyone who he's going to drop either. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not seeing it.
Showing how easy it is to pay attention when you want to.
So I don't know how he feels about his defense. And
you know what I would say about Rich?
Would you?
This might be a good time to trade with him.
Possibly, but if this was your team, would you drop the defense to pick up a receiver or a running back?
Yeah, I mean, especially going against Carolina, who's a pretty good offense and not going to turn the ball over a ton.
Packers are ranked 24th overall. So
yeah, it's not a good defense. But then you're saying that you're still going to take a 0 in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say either that or the kicker. I think that's interesting.
Picked up Bagley. And he had a huge week. I think his kicker has a better chance to put up bigger numbers than.
It's not bad advice. It's not bad advice.
I agree. I like it, Small.
So
I think that's.
And actually, I think if you look at it statistically, of the guy you should drop, and this is going to sound really bad, and you're going to be like, no, you'd never do that. I think it would be Cooks.
Really?
Yeah. I think
it's the worst one that he has.
I think there's a good chance that he doesn't come back this season, but too early to tell.
Okay, because you got to remember, if he doesn't come back, he then has a bye, and then you know what I mean? He has 2 full weeks here.
Yeah.
Listen. He's one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL. I get it. You drafted him 27th. I got you.
Yeah. Well, all right, fellas. I think we've paid. At the end, best of luck staying out of the basement.
Anything with the dog bowl, Scrano?
No, nothing with a hot take. It is sad to see Brissett go down because, quarterback university in the house here. 4 starting quarterbacks. I can't think of another time that we had that many. Plus, just a big old go Bills here. Listen, guys, if you can make the playoffs, I think you're in at 9-7 in the AFC. 3 more games, and I'll be happy.
By the way, Browns are favored. A 2-6 team favored over a 6-2 team.
Ridiculous. I don't think the Browns are as bad as they are.
No, I don't think they're bad. I think that's really the problem, though. If they were bad, like they have all this talent in all these places, but it just seems to be that bad. Freddie Kitchens, hot seat, will not make it to next year. Bet me, Adam Gase won't make it to the end of the year. Those are my hot takes.
All right.
So hot.
Signing off.
So hot.
All right,
See you later, guys.
Later.